Hello, beautiful peaches. Welcome to the Macros, Metabolism, and Motivation Beautiful Peach podcast. I'm your host, Caitlen, here to help you find your most unwavering love, beauty, and kindness for yourself inside and out. I will be teaching you nutrition and macro tracking secrets, reverse diet and metabolism health tips and tricks, and motivating the heck out of you so you will want to leap up and start conquering your goals right away. I am here to help bring you the light at the end of the tunnel so you can discover that self-love and truly become the most confident, beautiful peach possible. So grab a pen and a piece of paper, or if you're in the car at the gym, go ahead and bump up your volume just a little so we can drown out those gym grunters next to you, and we can go ahead and dive right in. Don't forget to snag your completely free high-protein macro cookbook by simply doing a 5-star rate and review on this podcast. All you need to do is submit a 5-star rate and review, then send us your name and email through the link in the show notes so we know exactly where to send your cookbook. By submitting your 5-star rate review, this will also automatically enter you into the weekly podcast macro calculator giveaway. Every week, I give away a copy of my See You Schmidt macro calculator to one lovely winner who leaves an awesome 5-star rate and review. This winner is announced every week on my Instagram story as well as my newsletter email list. So leave that 5-star rate and review, and I'll see you in the episode. What is up, my beautiful, beautiful peach? Today's episode, we are going to be talking through 6 top ways to determine if you need a reverse diet. If you are brand new to healing your metabolism or sustainable fat loss, aka reverse dieting, go ahead and check out episode 91, Low-Calorie Dieting Slows Your Metabolism and Causes Weight Regain, as well as 92, Reverse Dieting 101, A Beginner's Guide to Healing Your Metabolism. Listen to those 2 first and then come on back and listen to this episode right here. Without further ado, let us dive on into 6 ways to determine if you need a reverse diet. Have you ever thought, maybe I just need to eat less and do more cardio every day and I'll finally be able to see changes, but you're still stuck in that plateau? Ding, ding, winner, winner, slow metabolism, making you eat way too small for dinner. Anyway, it is true though, when we are in a place where we think we need to continuously cut out food and to do more cardio, that's not going to be the answer if we are finding ourselves in a plateau. So we really want to figure out, hey, do I actually need to do a reverse diet? Do I actually need to heal my metabolism? When looking at the crash dieting world, it has created a record high population of women, and actually men as well, who have a metabolism that is completely shot. And this leads us to feeling like we're stuck at that 1,200 calorie point, feeling like there is no way to eat more food. We are terrified of weight regain. We are struggling with food guilt and binge eating. And we have this negative relationship with food that's actually impacting our mentality, our relationship with friends and family, our social life. And we have this endless confusion on what the heck is even going on. It also leads us to spending countless time, energy, and money on crash dieting and different diet pills that are leading us absolutely nowhere. I was super curious on the actual average spend just because I talk to people who spend very, very large amount of money on meal replacement shakes and diet pills and all of that not fun stuff. And Americans spend over $30 billion, and this is Americans only, on weight loss pills, supplements, and crash diets every single year. 45 million people in the United States diet. So wild. And I've actually been very curious on, and it's something that I've just been like hearing more and more and more. The average person, this is mind blowing to me, spends $10,000 to $15,000 on dieting pills and supplements and meal replacements a year. Imagine what that is in a decade. I mean, it's so wild because I am such a huge advocate of teaching women to heal from the inside out without any kind of diet supplement or pill. And this is why I'm so passionate about, in my Beautiful Peach Mastermind, why I actually teach you how to do what I do without any kind of diet pill, without any kind of added supplement, without anything like that, just bringing it back to the way that we live our life, the way that we eat, and using food to fuel us. I just have such a massive passion because we are wasting so much time, energy, money, happiness, our relationship with food, our relationship with our family on diet pills. And it's got to stop. It drives me absolutely wild. And my little nerdy self gets all protective. And I'm just like protective over you ladies because I've also been there in the past. If you want to hear my story on how I got to where I did today, the episode where it is, I think it's Tracking Macros 101. And then also if you just go to my website and look at the little About Me page, it talks all about that. But I was actually on a path to become a dentist, ended up completely changing, ended up with a bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics, on a path to become a registered dietitian at a hospital. Went on to get my master's degree in exercise science and sports nutrition and found that was my true passion because that's where I learned about reverse dieting. It's where I learned about macros, the human body, and fat loss. And I ended up writing my master's thesis on reverse dieting to heal the human metabolism and the impact of dieting on our mentality and our metabolism. And it's so important for me to get you ladies out of that space so you're not wasting all this time, money, energy, and all these pieces, and you can have a long-lasting change once and for all. My goal with BPM and also my courses is to help you have that. This is like that last program that you ever need because you are learning sustainability and you are following my signature framework of sustainable, maintainable, educational, and enjoyable. So the problem is not that you haven't found the right diet pill, that you haven't found the right diet. The problem is your slow metabolism. And the best way to get out of that icky diet world is to heal our metabolism through the method called reverse dieting. And again, just a quick reminder, listen to episode 91 and 92 if you have not yet. It is a very, very good episode to listen to before you come and listen to this episode because it gives you like a pre-rec thoughts on our metabolism. Episode 91 is why low-calorie dieting slows our metabolism and causes weight regain. Episode 92 is Reverse Dieting 101, a beginner's guide to heal your metabolism. Listen to those two first. They'll be a great place to start. Now, the best way to heal our metabolism once and for all and the restrictive and binge patterns is reverse dieting. And it's also a topic that is not massively talked about solely because the diet industry keeps this hush. And also, I actually think diet industry and diet programs are not backed by education or not the way that our human body works. And having this knowledge is going to save you time, energy, money. Having this knowledge is going to save your health. It's going to allow you to be preventative with your health rather than find your place when you are down the road and just absolutely struggling and looking back being like, what happened? So with all of this, I'd like to talk through the episode here, which is the 6 ways that you can start to determine if you need a reverse diet. If you are struggling with weight regain after dieting, and actually this is more of if you are struggling with weight regain, like period, when you're eating more, this is going to be due to your body and your metabolism adapting to a lower calorie intake when we are in that restrictive place, whether we know it or not. And more specifically, our metabolism is going to adapt to that lower calorie intake. So when we are eating less for an extended period of time, our metabolism slows down and it's going to match the lower amount of food that we're eating. So let's do an example really quickly here. Say we're eating 2,000 calories. We do a deficit of some sort or a decrease in food and we end up eating 1,200 calories. This means that our metabolism has gone from that 2,000 calorie space down to 1,200 calories. Our metabolism now sits at that 1,200 calorie place, so it has adapted to that lower calorie intake. If we start eating more without healing our metabolism, it leads to weight regain. So I think a lot of people don't realize that when we are seeing weight regain after a diet or just when we start to eat more, they're like, why am I seeing weight regain? It's due to carbs, it's due to fat, it's due to sugar, it's due to this and that, but it's actually due to your lowered metabolism, your slowed metabolism. If you have restricted your calories, these actually go hand in hand. So if you know that you have restricted your calories in the past or currently, quite literally, no matter how long ago it was, if you've never healed your metabolism after that point, even if it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there is a solid chance that your metabolism still sits at that lower calorie intake. And there's also a very strong likelihood that when you stopped the diet, whatever it may be, even if it was a decade or 2 ago, you saw weight regain happen at that point. And you may still have that weight on that you want to get off. You may be eating more food than you did then, so you might not be eating in a restrictive place now, but your metabolism might still be sitting at a lower calorie intake. And if you remember the example that I just shared, if we're eating 1,200 calories, even if this was 10 years ago, but we never actually healed our metabolism to properly get our intake up to 2,000 plus calories, we're going to say that as an example. But if we've never healed our metabolism, we just started eating 2,000 plus calories, this is going to lead to the weight regain, but our metabolism still actually sits at that 1,200 calorie place. We just gained weight. And so I would actually still suggest doing a reverse diet in this case. If this is you, there's a little bit of a shift of what we're going to do and kind of potentially starting you in a little bit of a deficit, still reverse dieting. So then you're still able to get that weight off. It's a little bit more complex. So it's easier for me to be hands-on with that with coaching. Number 3, if you skip meals, whether this is intentional or not, and I like to stress the intentional or not, because I think a lot of times we may not realize we're skipping meals and we're like, yeah, that's not a good thing to be doing, but we don't actually realize or think through the impact that it has. So the thing is, like, a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. And whether it's intentional or not, if we are skipping meals, if we are cutting out foods, if we are eliminating certain items, that's still putting you into a calorie deficit. And let me just go ahead and do an example, okay? So I work with a very large number of busy women, and they're also trying to juggle their own health. And I can say this time and time again, if we don't take care of our health, we cannot properly juggle everything else. And it's chaos. When we take care of ourselves, we feel amazing. We have energy. We can take care of everybody else even better. And so I think a lot of busy women think success is just not for me, not going to work. I just don't have time. I can't take care of myself. I disagree on so many levels, because being someone who is insanely busy and also being someone who caters to busy women, you just need something that's going to fit naturally into your busy life. And if you find yourself not having time to grab breakfast or to grab lunch, you sometimes end up missing it completely, which is causing more damage to your metabolism. So we just need to create a game plan that will fit really well for you. And so to do this as an example, let's say you are missing, let's say you are a busy woman and you do not have time to grab breakfast, you do not have time to grab lunch, you miss it entirely, and you find yourself grabbing that cup of coffee to try and suppress hunger or just to try and give you energy. For the sake of this example, an easy number, let's say that you have 4 meals in a day. Let's just pretend that breakfast is 600 calories, lunch is 600 calories. Let's just say, hey, lunch number 2, 600 calories, and dinner is 600 calories. That adds up to 2,400 calories. Now, let's just say you were not able to get your breakfast or your lunch number 1 in, and immediately that cuts out, right? Because each of those were 600 calories. Immediately you're missing 1,200 calories in your day. Now, maybe your lunch number 2 ends up being just a quick snack of a protein bar. It's all you can get in. It's not a meal replacement. It's just like you're grabbing that snack as something that you can get in. That knocks your intake down even more. So when we get home from work, we have only eaten a protein bar. We have been consuming as much coffee as we possibly can. It's 6 p.m. We'll likely be very, very hungry, or our hunger hormones will be so wonky we can't even tell that we're hungry. But usually we're going to be so hungry or have that hunger hit at some point in the day where you're just like ravenous, and then maybe it'll go away, which we do not want that to be happening. We do not want to suppress our hunger no matter what. If you want to lose weight, please do not suppress your hunger. So what's going to happen is we'll likely be starving and we'll go into a total binge when we get home. And with a binge, it can feel like we've just consumed 1 gazillion calories. Sometimes in a binge, yes, you do have a massive overconsumption. However, you might have actually, and I say only, but you might have actually only consumed 1,000 calories, which yes, that is an adequate number of calories. But the thing here is, if at the end of the day, you've barely had any food in the day, and then you binge, you're still actually going to only be in a place where you've eaten 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories. You haven't actually eaten that much besides the protein bar, which is what, 200 calories, 250 calories, and then a 1,000 calorie binge. That's still only 1,200 calories. The problem here is, number one, also, our body is not created to go from eating nothing to then all of a sudden eating everything. That's going to mess massively with our digestion. Our digestive system actually cannot take that amount of food and properly digest it. So a lot of times after a binge, we'll feel that our digestion is off. We'll have bloat. Our bowel movements won't be regular. We're going to not feel good the next day. Our energy is going to be impacted. After that binge, you are full. Your digestion's off. You still might not have eaten as much as you thought you ate, which means that the answer here, a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. You are still in a prolonged calorie deficit. You are not getting enough food into your body. The answer is still going to be a reverse diet. And also in that case, you will need to take a little bit of a deeper dive into working with getting more food in your body and a really good system. I'm more than happy to help you with that. I've worked with clients who travel for their job, who are home 1 or 2 days a week, who are basically living out of hotels because their job has them traveling so much. Women who just simply do not have time to sit down and eat lunch. Number 4, if you have intense carb or food cravings due to restrictive eating, our body, when we are not getting enough food long term, it's actually going to cause our brain to make us binge. Our body goes into survival mode where it will start to do anything it can to get fuel into its body because it feels like it's not getting enough nutrients. It feels depleted for so long. It feels like our body is out of balance. It's our body's main function is to keep us alive, whether that's our heart beating, whether that's our digestive system, whether that's our metabolism, whether that's us having energy, having fuel. And it cannot tell the difference between you intentionally being on an unhealthy diet and intentionally starving yourself and you being out in the wilderness unable to find food. Our body cannot tell the difference between that. And the problem with this is it causes us to binge because it wants us to function. And that's not a problem. That's our body just trying to keep us healthy and trying to keep us fed. But the problem is that our body is not meant to go from eating nothing to eating everything. Our digestion is going to be wonky. Our energy is going to be wonky. We're not going to feel good. And we don't want to be going through that space. Our body is like a machine. If you have 4 different gears and they are all turning properly, they will work simultaneously. They will be working well together, going in the right direction. However, if you have even just one of those gears that is a little bit wonky, aka our metabolism, all of those other gears are not going to be functioning in the best way possible. And that metabolism gear is going to mess with our energy. It's going to mess with our libido. It's going to mess with our digestion. It's going to mess with our fat loss. We're going to see weight regain. We're going to feel unhappy. We're going to be binge eating. And all because of that metabolism, likely due to dieting and restriction. It's now wonky, which is messing everything else up in our body. All of those other systems that we need to be working at its max cannot work at its max and cannot work efficiently because our metabolism needs the love. I want to interrupt this oh so lovely podcast episode of mine to let you know that the Food, Freedom, and Macro Guide is available to you completely free. This guide holds the answers you need to end the macro mystery and learn why nothing else has ever worked long term. With macros and your human factor, you can have your cake and eat it too. Live your life instead of wasting every day hyper-focused on all of the stress on what you can and cannot eat. This Food Freedom and Macro Guide will give you clarity on what macros are and the role that they play in your metabolism. You'll learn why macros are so important to keep your body functioning properly and how we actually use these and your human factor to see the changes that you want. You'll be able to discover the anti-diet world and how we use macros to eat the food that we love every day. If you're ready for endless food freedom and want to take a deep dive into macros, this guide is for you. Go ahead down to the show notes and grab your guide today. So what we do is we reverse diet to heal our metabolism, which then in turn, all of our other gears start to work properly again. I think a lot of people forget they're like, I just want to lose weight. And they go and they do all these crash diets. And we don't realize the impact that we're actually creating on everything else that's going on in our body that we actually cannot see. We go to the counter, we get our diet, our checkout line, and you get your receipt and you're like, great, cool. You have your diet and here's what it is, whatever it may be. But you don't have the receipt. The unseen receipt, what I call it, is all of the actual internal problems that you cannot see that are actually happening to you, aka your libido's off. You may lose your period. All of these different pieces are coming into play. You might even be lashing out friends and family because you are unhappy. And so we really want to make sure we're getting you into a place where you are healing from the inside out. And this actually goes into my 5th thing here that you can note if you do need a reverse diet or how to tell if you need a reverse diet. Let's just say that you've never dieted before. You decide to do keto. You cut out all your carbs. You're now eating 50 grams of carbs. And all of a sudden you see your weight's going down. You're like, yes, okay, I cut my carbs out. Carbs are the devil. They were the problem. I lost weight. Well, your best friend, Sally Ann over there, she's eating all of the carbs, but she decided she's going to stop eating fat. And she had the same exact reaction. Well, carbs aren't the problem. I'm eating carbs. Fat's the problem. I cut out fat and then I lost weight. Then we have Joe Schmo over here. She decides, okay, well, I want to eat the carbs. I want to eat the fat. I'm just going to stop eating protein. She cuts out all of her protein. Same effect. She loses weight. Well, but carbs and fat are the problem, she says. Protein's the problem. No, the problem is actually that in every single one of those scenarios, you put yourself into a calorie deficit by reducing the number of carbs you're eating, by reducing the fat, and by reducing the protein, which none of those we want to do. Protein, carbs, and fat, we need specific amounts of each of those in our body. There are past episodes on that, tracking macros. Go take a peek at those. But if we're removing any of those, what happens? What have we learned? Say it with me. A deficit is a deficit. We're putting our body into a calorie deficit by cutting out some sort of food group. And the problem is that you haven't cut out the right food group yet. The problem is that you have a slow metabolism. So in this case, we need to stop trying to do a different diet or to do a different elimination diet. We need to actually heal our metabolism. And that's what's going to be the huge game changer. Now, this is something that I've talked about a little bit already. So 6, I've already covered this, but I still want to cover it. If you have low energy crashes, poor sleep patterns, low libido, that is the unseen receipt list, okay? Your body, like I said, its job is to keep us alive and thriving. So when we have less food, our body is naturally going to try and adjust to fit that. Slow down our energy, lower our libido, all of those pieces I just started to list out, our body is going to try and adapt to that newer, lower level intake, which isn't enough nutrients for our body. And 2 things can happen here. Number 1, many see this as an SOS I wrote down here, and we'll need to cut more calories. We're going to say, oh my gosh, SOS. Okay, we're eating 1,200 calories. Everything is going haywire. Well, I just must not be eating, low enough of intake. I'm going to go down to 900 calories. You notice no further weight loss. You see even more disruption, and you are now having weight regain. We don't want to do that path. Number 2, we're so fed up, we stop with the dieting entirely. We're like, nah, I'm done with this. We actually start to see the weight regain again. We're going back to the place where we're eating far more. And this kind of actually goes back to the number 1 tip that I gave of if you see that weight regain after eating after a deficit or when you're eating more, this is giving you a calorie surplus because your metabolism still sits at that lower calorie intake. And so you see the weight regain. And number 3, which is where the shift of perspective comes, is we want to actually do a reverse diet in order to go from that lower calorie intake to a higher calorie intake, which just as I explained in my gear example, this will help all of those gears start to function at their absolute best and start to feel so much better. So you're able to really heal from the inside out, which is incredible. So I would like to walk through hunger suppressants and diet pills. I'm going to make this as quick as I possibly can. But when we're doing some kind of diet pill, anything like that, we are lowering our overall calorie intake, which remember, calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. And I actually challenge you, if you have done some kind of diet pill, some kind of suppressant, hunger suppressant, something like that, I actually challenge you to track to see how much you are actually eating, because I think you will be very surprised. I have people who on hunger suppressants who come to me and they're eating 800 calories, 900 calories, 1,200 calories. But before actually tracking how much they're eating, they're so confused because they aren't hungry. Food is hard to eat at points because they're like, I'm stuffed all the time, which is because their hunger hormones are completely haywire. They're completely confused because hunger suppressants suppress our hunger hormones, which is not good. So they're like, okay, well, I'm not hungry. I'm not seeing any weight loss happening. I don't know what to do. All these things are going haywire. My job is to get you off of those hunger suppressants, those diet pills, so we can get those hunger cues, those hunger hormones firing properly. We can get your body regulating on its own without suppressing hunger and help you heal your metabolism. Coming back to that gear example, when our metabolism is working well and we're also off of those hunger suppressants, we're going to actually really be able to heal from the inside out. Okay. So a quick recap here. Number 1, if you struggle with weight regain after dieting. Number 2, if you have restricted your calories currently or in the past. Number 3, if you tend to skip meals intentionally or unintentionally. Number 4, you have intense carb or food cravings due to restrictive eating, binge eating. Number 5, you have done or currently do keto or any kind of elimination diet. Or number 6, you have low energy crashes, poor sleep patterns, lost your period, low libido. If you resonate with at least one of those, just one, I recommend a reverse diet. I think it's so incredibly important. It will change your life. It will be so incredible for you. If you want to learn more, go ahead and take a peek at other podcast episodes. I do also have a completely free webinar all about reverse dieting. It is a beginner's guide to reverse dieting. It is incredible because I have a PowerPoint that goes with it. So there's visual examples walking through many of the different things that we talked about. And it goes quite a bit deeper into reverse dieting. So if you're someone who's like, yeah, if I want to reverse diet, you're going to continue listening to my podcast episode. I also suggest going ahead and listening or watching. You can listen to it too if you want to, but I'm a very visual learner, so I have lots of examples in there. I'll put it down in the show notes for you. It is an amazing training, an amazing webinar. So go take a peek at that. I'll drop the link down below for you. If you are ready to dive in right now, I've got a couple options for you. Of course, my Beautiful Peach Mastermind. I am currently taking clients. Reach out ASAP. The spots do go very fast. And if you were listening to this and this is recorded, obviously maybe it's like a month past when recording this, still reach out. I do have spots open every now and then, and I have a system to that. So please do reach out. If you also want to know and want to make sure you know when spots open right away, go ahead and join my email newsletter list. They are the first to know that spots are open. I actually send out a notification first to my newsletter list, but then also I let them know first, and then I actually announce it live. So Beautiful Peach Mastermind, that is my coaching program where you do get access to my reverse diet course, as well as my C. Schmidt Nutrition and Macro Academy. The C. Schmidt Nutrition and Macro Academy, the Academy for short, you have to be in BPM currently. That's how I have it set up right now in order to actually get that course. That's where you are learning how to adjust your macros for every phase, calorie deficits, reverse diets, lean bulks, maintaining and going intuitive. We also do a lot of food freedom and work on our relationship with food and BPM. If you want to learn just how to reverse diet, you do not need any of the accountability. You do not need anything extra. Hop into the reverse diet course. Freaking game changer. It'll walk you through step by step how to make sure everything is catered to you as an individual, because we don't believe in cookie cutter. And it walks you through exactly how to reverse diet, how to adjust as needed, specifically to you, to your metabolism. And that also includes, actually all of these include the macro calculator as a bonus. Don't forget 5-star rate and review. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. And if you've been listening to my podcast and you haven't done a review, I will give you the biggest air bear hug if you do one, because it makes me smile and it makes me happy. And I actually read them because they make me so happy and they make me just like excited to keep recording. Do that 5-star rate and review and it'll make me so happy. So with all of this, so much love your way, all the love and peaches your way, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, my beautiful peach.